This is the Hotel Mediterráneo in the Empordà region, Spain. It's a beautiful 18th century converted Catalan farmhouse where rooms cost from £450 a night. And this is the £145,000 Aston Martin DB11, powered for the first time by a 4-litre twin-turbo Mercedes-AMG V8. The hotel and the DB11 look good together, and in many ways offer similar things. You can, for example, recline your DB11 seat and enjoy some broken sleep, while the 5-star hotel offers you the best sleep you've ever had, with beds big enough to dream in lengthways, diagonally, or sideways depending on your feng shui orientation. The hotel and the Aston Martin are both luxurious things, made of expensive materials and handcrafted wood, and both things are pleasing to look at. But the hotel does much more than that though.
You can play tennis in a hotel. Not my sport anyway. Not so much.
Oh, that's so nice. Oh, that's deep.
You can enjoy a relaxing massage.
Oh, yeah.
Well, the closest thing I have here are heated seats. You can go for a leisurely swim in the pool. No.
The odds then are not in the DB11's favour, until that is, you remember one important thing.
You can't drive a hotel.
Forget fancy hotels and nice views then. What we love most in life is driving. Especially when you've got something as awesome as the DB11.
There are loads of things I like about this car. Let's start off with the way that it rides. I've got it in GT, which means that the dampers and the engine are in their least ferocious modes. So it's pretty much just a chilled GT cruiser, and that it does really, really well. Everything's super comfortable inside here. The gear shifts are nice and relaxed. You can take your time. It's not too noisy, although when you do boot it, you can hear the V8. Oh yeah, sounds quite American. And you know, sometimes when you hear a V8 and it sounds a bit like a Chinook, it's a bit like doof, 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 doof. That's what this does. It's a nice V8 warble, and in an Aston Martin DB11, that's just awesome. Plus, we got some twins under the bonnet as well, meaning that we've got loads of power, over 500 horsepower. So it's not just a crude V8 with not that much go, because it's got a lot of shove. I can cruise in 5th all day. You've got oceans of torque with this engine, meaning that you don't need to change gear at all. The steering is nice and sharp and quick. Throttle response is okay. Obviously with turbochargers you're going to lose some of that instantaneous throttle response. But as a GT, as a cruiser, it is bang on the money. Speaking of which, £145,000. But let me tell you, the moment that you step inside this interior, you realise that £145,000 is £145,000 well spent, because there are oceans of leather, there's wood, there's actual wood. That gets me so excited. That gives me wood, seeing wood in a car like this. Even the steering wheel is nice, because you can just slot your thumbs into these grooves and feel completely at ease. It is a really big car, but to be fair, it doesn't feel as big as it looks. I thought it'd be really imposing to drive. I thought I wouldn't enjoy it, but it kind of shrinks around you. And I think part of the reason that it does that is because of the engine. It just makes it feel so agile and so quick and nimble. It's a really, really nice package.
This new twin-turbo 4-litre V8 from Mercedes-AMG produces 503 bhp to give the DB11 a top speed of 187 miles an hour, with 62 coming up in 4 seconds dead. It's also 115 kilograms lighter than the V12, dropping to a still pretty heavy 1760 kilograms, but which makes it more nimble and easy to place on the road.
Now, did I mention there was a lot of leather? We got a leather roof. Oh, it feels so good. It's just so perforated. I could sit here on a motorway journey and just stroke the roof and stroke between my legs as well. Not in that way, but just because the seats feel so good. Just makes you feel like $1 million. But if you are feeling frisky, which I am right about now, all you need to do is push these two buttons here, one on each side of the steering wheel. So that's already sharpened up the throttle response. So we've gone from GT into S Plus. So let's find out what that does. Oh yes, I've got some crackles. Oh, it's noisy. Wow, it's faster. Now, that's where I'm getting the 503 horsepower. Who would have thought an Aston Martin DB11 could be such a capable sports car? There are buckets of grip and it is genuinely exciting to drive. The gearbox is pretty good, although I will say that on a couple of occasions it's caught itself out. When I wanted to just chill a little bit, it would randomly kick down. It's only happened twice. And also it likes to stick in second gear. Obviously there's a V12 and I've been told that that is more of a cruiser and you can't really consider that much of a sports car, but with this twin turbo V8, that's a complete game changer. It's also a complete game changer for you guys in China, because for these cars you pay a lot of import tax, and if you want to buy a V12 over this, then you need to fork out 75,000 extra pounds. 75 grand just to have a V12. But the benefits do not even end there. Not by a long way, mister. All right, picture the scene. You're in Spain with your DB11, you've got your mistress by the side, you're on some beautiful roads like this, you're hooning, left and right, you're getting into a flow, and she starts getting angry. What are you doing? Why are you driving so quickly? Who are you trying to impress? She demands that you stop the car. So what do? You got to stop the car. And then you're like, oh, darling, I'm really sorry. And then Aston Martin's got your back, because what you do next is serenade her with this, the air vents. We've got little strings. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to drive like that. Please get back in the car. Oh, that's a big corner. Can we hold on? Yes, we held on. Thank you, Aston. Now, there are a few subtle differences between the V8 and the V12. First thing first, you have 2 fewer vents on the V8, so you've got 4 on the V12 and 2 here. The headlight bezels are a darker colour. I think they're black almost on the V8, whereas they're silver on the V12. And the design of the alloy wheels is different. Oh, see, that's where the gearbox is a little bit lurchy when you want to go into second. The gearbox on a whole, I'd give it an 8 out of 10. The car on a whole, 9.5 out of 10. The only reason I don't give it a 10 is because I don't have one. But the interior, that's got to be 10 out of 10. This is one of the nicest interiors I've ever sat in. And the noise is good, give that a strong 8.5. I mean, this is as near a perfect car as you can get. I don't know what you guys think about the colour. It's actually officially red, but it's more of a plum colour on the outside. It looks black in certain lights, purple in others. So there are very few things about this car that I don't like, but there are some. Let's start with the traction control button, which I cannot for the life of me find. It's not in here, it's not in here, it's not on the door, not down here, that's the park brake, speedometer, not on the steering wheel. There are no buttons down here, definitely not in here, I've checked 3 times. Not in here, it's the key, that's definitely not it. If you buy one of these cars and you want to do some sick burnouts, bruh, then you'll struggle unless you phone up Aston Martin and say, where is it? Now, the second thing that I don't like is this stitch. You can see all his friends here, they're all on their merry way, like elephants going to the watering hole. And then we got this little rebel here, this guy, this badass without a cause. He's like, nah, I want to go my own direction. And it means that also this piece of leather here is a little bit scrunched up. So that bit, that annoys me.
Now sure, the DB11 V8 costs £145,000, which is enough money to buy yourself almost an entire year at this amazing place. So is the car really worth it?
Hell yes!
8 cars that surprised us with a manual gearbox option. You'd think that this amazing list of cars would only have been available with automatic gearboxes, but each one had a manual option that very few people decided to go for. And here they are. Aston Martin DB9. It would be unthinkable to offer a luxury Grand Tourer like the DB9